Hi, I'm Nancy Rathbun from Completely Quilted, and today I'm going to be demonstrating the 7th month of our Curve It Up block of the month from Sew Kind of Wonderful. Your first step is going to be cutting your strips to sew together your log cabin. I already have my log cabin blocks sewn together per the pattern instructions. So if you've never sewn a log cabin together before, they're really easy and fun, and I know you'll want to make more log cabin blocks. What we're going to do differently on this block is we're going to be squaring this up to an 8.5 inch square. And we want to take off all of that excess from this side here that has the background. So I'm going to line that 8.5 inch line up with my bottom corner here. That's already pretty even. And I'm going to take off all of that excess just from one side. And you're going to continue to trim all of your blocks up in this same manner here. Now that I've squared up my blocks, I'm ready to cut my curves. So I'm going to line up my quick curve ruler and even the points of my block right on those 4.25 inch marks on my ruler. And I'm going to cut my curve. And I'm going to continue to cut all of my blocks the same way until all four have curves. My background triangles that are going to be sewn to the curve to create the curvy log cabin. So I'm going to cut these squares apart from corner to corner to make my triangles. Now I'm going to also cut off an inch of the points of my triangles. So I'll just line up my inch line on the point and cut that off. And I'm going to do that for both sides. Now I'm ready to cut my curve. So I'm going to line up the 2 3/4 inch line right along the edge on my triangles, and I'll cut that curve. Now I'm ready to sew these together, and it's going to look something like this. So we'll take that over to our sewing machine and line that up to sew it. Sew my two pieces together. So what I have done is I've marked 1 3/4 inches from my corners on my log cabin block. And that is where my curve is going to be positioned, with that right on the edge, right there where that 1 3/4 inch mark starts. So I marked it on the right side of my fabric. Sometimes I have to kind of pull that up, make sure that I'm right there. And I'm going to just take a few stitches down, and I'm going to just slowly move both of my pieces together and just guide that at a 1/4 inch seam. And you should end up about 1 3/4 inches from this other side as well when you come to the end. So I'm pretty close there, right there on the 1 3/4 inch mark. So look, give us room to square up. So I'll sew all of my curves like this, and then we'll square these blocks up. My curve sewn on. I have my curve sewn onto my log cabin. Now I need to square this up. So it's just going to get squared up to an 8.5 inch block again. So you're simply just going to cut it even with the other two sides of the block. And you're going to continue this for all 4 of your blocks. I have all of my blocks squared up, and it's time to sew them together into 2 rows and then sew that into our block. I'm Nancy Rathbun. Thank you for watching our demonstration for the month 7 Curve It Up blog of the month, which is the log cabin.